Oh, it's Monday, September 14th, 2015. Matt, this is not the Gettek podcast.
It's not. It is the Gettek Hour. The Gettek Power
Mm,
Hour.
po-
Gettek Power Hour. Now aspartame free.
mm, Oldest brewery in America.
I do like Yingling. It's good.
It's good, man. So I moved. I moved to Tennessee
Yeah.
squarely so I could drink more Yingling because they don't sell it in Michigan.
Life goals achieved.
Mm-hmm. I'm all set now. I can die happy man.
I moved for the week. I am reporting live, I guess you could say, from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, where dreams come true.
I'm sitting in a hotel room in Palm Beach.
Yeah, at 9 o'clock at night because all my friends are lame. Oh, wait, I don't have any friends. Okay.
I'm awake.
Oh, sweet. You're in
I'm
Tennessee.
here for you. Well, you, yeah. So I went 10 hours south of you, and then you went 10 hours south of me.
Right.
So we're gonna do things differently for all the people who haven't been watching the podcast. This is not a podcast. There will be no audio.
It's not.
There wasn't really. To be honest, we weren't very good about posting the audio before either.
No, because we ran out of hosting space.
Yeah, and we golfed too much.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was a problem also. Not a problem. It was a good problem. But this is solely going to be about the Apple iPhone 6s event. Is that what we're going to call it? The iPhone 6s event? The
iPhone 6's event?
The iPad Pro event? The Apple Pencil event?
The iPencil event.
I'm spoiling the whole thing if you didn't watch it.
I know.
I think it's the fall event because I think they're only going to have one event this year.
Okay.
So, there's lots to cover. 4 things, really. They talked about 4 things. And you know what none of them were?
No. What's
Mac.
that?
They never talked about the Mac. They didn't talk about the Mac at
I know.
all. Though you could argue that the iPad Pro, they were talking about the Mac without talking about the Mac. But I figure we're just going to run down what they talked about in order and see what we have to say about it. Does this sound good to you?
Sounds good to me.
Good. Great. So they started things out. Do you remember the old Steve Jobs ones? He used to spend like 20 minutes kind of stroking off about how good the company was doing.
Oh, absolutely he did.
Yeah. Tim Cook doesn't do that.
No.
He literally gets up.
Me think maybe...
Go.
Oh, I was going to say, maybe the company's not doing good anymore.
I'm pretty sure the company's doing pretty well.
Yeah, you're probably right. They're doing fine.
I think they're doing okay. Literally, he gets up on stage and says, the company is doing fine. Let's talk about Apple Watch. And there were no big announcements for Apple Watch.
Woo! Rose gold. Gold
Pink.
rose.
It's pink.
Pink. Right.
Pink.
Seriously.
So, I mean, it's 2 new sport models, gold and rose gold. Some new band colors. The Hermes. Is it Hermes? Hermes.
I call it Hermes.
Partnership, which is interesting. Some people who have seen those, apparently it doesn't say Apple Watch anywhere on the watch.
No.
It says Hermes on it, actually. So it's almost not even, it's weird. And I think they're going to do more of that. But apparently those are really, really nice. And they're like $1,100. So
are they bigger in size? Yes or no?
No.
Because this is a man's wrist. And this is my Apple Watch on a man's wrist.
No, they're not bigger in size. I actually wish they were a little bit bigger too, to be honest with you.
I need a watch like this.
Yeah. You're one of these.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Alex and I went to an Apple store in Houston. I mean, because we're well-traveled, right? We go all over the place.
Yes.
Our podcast business is booming, so it takes us all over. We had a huge demand in Houston. So we went down there, and I tried on the biggest Apple Watch that they had, and it looked like the smallest Apple Watch that they had. So I, unfortunately, will probably not be able to buy an Apple Watch for the foreseeable future.
I mean, you could wear one. It fit on your wrist. It just looked like a
It just
baby.
looked
It looked like a little baby
right.
watch.
I think I'll break that
Um,
damn thing.
yeah, I actually wish they would make one like a little bit bigger than the bigger one.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. I think I have a normal size wrist. I wouldn't mind something a little bigger. I like a bigger watch.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's the Air Maze one is literally just the stainless steel Apple Watch, apparently with different inscription on the inside, around the heartbeat sensor thing,
Mm-hmm.
where it says Apple Watch. It doesn't say that, which is kind of really weird. It has a special face. Don't know if that face is going to be. I assume it's going to be limited to only the Air Maze models. I don't. It's not
Okay.
that special. I don't think it's that cool. And apparently, really, really nice leather bands on them. But
Yeah, that's the leather bands did look a little bit nice. Did you see that one they have on like the girls model? It's like the infinity band. It wraps like 3 times around your wrist.
yes,
Yeah, it's
that
pretty.
one.
It's pretty trendy looking.
Yes, I suppose so. If you're into fashion, you probably think that's cool. Me, that seems hot and annoying. Um, but there's like a cuff, and there's a normal. The normal leather band I think looks really nice, but expensive. And there's enough adapters out there for those things now, where you can basically put any watch band you want on an Apple Watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but you know, if you have the money and you want the brand name on it, that's a cool thing.
Yeah,
So
I think they do look cool. I don't know. It just seems. I mean, we're gonna go back to the same old conversation. Like, if I'm gonna spend that much money on it, I could just get a really nice something else. But that's just me.
priorities, man. Depends what you're into. Um, that was it. I mean, they covered camera. They covered some Watch OS 2 stuff that they've talked
Mm-hmm.
about at WWDC, native apps, whatever. Not that interesting. Watch OS 2, I believe, comes out Wednesday.
Yeah.
We should probably Wednesday night or Thursday night get together and talk iOS 9 also. Fast forward.
Thursday. Yeah, we'll talk scheduling later.
Yes. Logistics. We have UPS to handle that for us.
Seriously, what can Brown do for you?
And then they started talking iPad. And I think this is probably, well, I don't know. Do you think this was a bigger deal or the new Apple TV stuff? Not to skip ahead, but
Can I tell you which one I was more excited for?
mm-hmm.
I'm more excited for the Apple TV announcement, but I feel like the iPad Pro is probably the bigger thing. I don't know.
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, Apple jokes.
Oh God. Yeah, I think if you're gonna look at future of Apple stuff, it's probably the bigger deal. But it's a big ass iPad. It's a 12.9 inch. I'm sorry, not Surface, iPad.
Right.
2732 by 2048. It's as wide as an iPad Air is tall. If that's
crazy. That's crazy to think about.
I mean, the thing is made to be used in landscape, right? I can't imagine using that in portrait, but
like it's. Have you ever seen those people that use like those Samsung Galaxy tabs in like portrait? Like they look so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's like you're walking around with a cookie sheet in your hand.
Well, those are 16 by 9. This thing is 16 by 10,
something like that.
2 by 3. I don't know. Anyways, it's the normal aspect ratio that Apple uses. A little bit thicker, a little bit heavier. 4 gigs of RAM, which is a big deal. It's the first iOS device with that much RAM in it.
Right. Supposedly, and it's got the new the A9X processor or whatever.
They're saying it's like faster than 80% of PCs that were sold last year. They're saying desktop class processor in that thing. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I have a hard time gauging that, though, just because they run off different architecture. Because I just think, like, it ain't going to be as fast as an i7, but it might be. I don't know.
Well, it's running a much less demanding OS, too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I think that's part of it. But they say 1.8 times faster than the A8X. Doubles the graphics, 10 hours of battery. I think they showed a demo where they were editing 3 4K video streams at the same time. 4 speakers.
That'd be sweet.
I was really looking forward to this before they announced it because of the stylus stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
Then I got. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, you know what I think is actually underwhelming, but I think you were going to go there next.
Okay, maybe. And I saw pictures of this thing, and there's literally people are holding it like this and covering their whole body. It's ridiculously large. So that's where I was at. Keyboard case. I'll get around. I need to talk about pencil before I can talk about my thoughts.
Okay.
Keyboard case, which Apple will sell you for $170.
Woo!
It uses
a lot of money for that option key.
Mm-hmm. It's not Bluetooth. There's a little 3-dot connector on the bottom, on one of the sides. It folds out and makes it a Surface.
Yeah.
This is the same keyboard as that new MacBook. Those real shallow keys they cover in fabric.
Oh, God, I can't stand those keys.
Don't mind it. I haven't used it enough to really say, but the little bit I've played with it, I don't mind them.
I can't tell that I'm hitting keys. It's like a very senior citizen thing to say, but
it is. It is very senior citizen. I don't think they're that bad though. You type on one of these all day long.
Yeah. Whoa, that was weird. I could see myself.
No, I don't think it's that bad of a keyboard, but for $170,
it's expensive.
It's really expensive. It's really expensive.
But people are going to buy them.
I mean, I think and then the Apple Pencil, $100.
Okay. Decent price.
They talked a bunch of shit about how the screen refresh rate doubles, so it's more responsive, it's pressure sensitive, it can detect tilt and angle. That thing, if it works as advertised, it sounds like a fantastic stylus, the best stylus.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does.
If it works as advertised.
Right. So what are your concerns?
They made a lot of promises.
Right.
For to get the tilt and the angle, the stylus to be as responsive as they claim it is, to be able to be that precise. If it works, that's awesome. But also,
I don't know. I was gonna say, I just keep thinking you're talking about all this stuff, and I'm super interested in it because I own an iPad. But I just keep thinking, man, I'm gonna get my hands on the Surface Pro 4s.
Yes, October 9th. They'll be talking about those for you. October 6th.
Yay.
So they now saw that, and I was disappointed. I'm like, it's just a big iPad. The pencil only works on the iPad Pro.
Correct.
Almost promise you next year it's going to work on the iPad Air 3, which is inevitable, right?
Right.
Because they didn't make any upgrades to the iPad Air. You still buy the same old iPad Air 2 this year. They did throw the internals of the iPad Air 2 into the new iPad Mini 4. So that thing's been beefed up. No pencil support on there. I was very disappointed because I want the stylus. I didn't even want something bigger than an iPad Air. I just wanted that stylus, right? I spent the day sad, and I started looking at buying a Surface, and all these different things because I want that stylus. And then I watched the keynote again. I watched the iPad Pro section again, and I started thinking about it. And I really started thinking about it. And then I looked at the price. 32 gigabytes for $800. Don't buy a 32 gigabyte iPad Pro. Don't buy it. Don't buy that. That's stupid. This is a computer. This is what Apple says is their future of computing. You're going to fill it up. I wouldn't buy a 32 gig phone. I wouldn't buy a 32 gig anything at this point.
No, not anymore.
128 for $949 If you want to go,
expensive,
if
man.
you want to go cellular, $1,079.
Okay, so let's just round that up to 1,100.
All right, so let's say you go no cellular.
Okay, so $1,000.
Okay, why don't you put most state sales tax in $1,000?
We'll say a G.
You got to get the keyboard case, right?
Of course.
Because you're not going to want to hold that silly thing all the time because it's this big.
You're not gonna. I don't even have anything to compare it to, but you're not gonna like. It's just not feasible.
It's a Surface, right? It is Apple's version of a Surface. So they just put the kickstand in because Microsoft said you're not going to hold this thing. Maybe a little bit on the couch occasionally, but you're by and large going to use it at a table. Every demo Apple showed of anyone using the thing was at a table. Mm-hmm. Right? So $170 there, right? So now you're sitting at $1,170 and you're going to get the pencil.
Right. So $1,270.
Yeah. Go buy a Mac. You can almost buy a MacBook Pro for that money.
Yeah. And it would run more software because it's still running off that damn iPad architecture, which is still app-based. Okay, so let's just play this game. You know what? I don't know. Do you want to... Let me just ask you this on the fly. We should have probably talked about this off the air, but Surface Pro 3 announcement comes out in less than a month. Surface Pro 4 announcement, comes out in less than a month. Do you want to do the comparisons now, or do you want to wait and do the comparisons after they come out? Because in my mind, I'm tallying all this up, and I'm like, okay, 128 gigs and all the accessories for about $1,300, or I could get a i7 and all the accessories, or an i5, all the accessories, 256 for less money.
You're probably coming in about the same.
Probably about the same. It's probably about the same. But I could largely get it for the same. And I will argue all day long that it will do more, which you know is true.
So my prediction.
Okay.
Let's say within 2 years, Apple will create, because of how their processors are going, Apple will build a version of OS X for ARM, which can run on their A9, A10, whatever. And they will create something very similar to what Windows 10 does, where you can have tablet mode and you can have desktop mode.
Right.
And that's what the iPad Pro will be. It will take over for the iPad Air, and that's what it's going to be. I don't really think that's even that ballsy of a prediction. That's just where I see it going. Because the thing that gets me about it, right, is like, do you ever use Paper by 53? It's a drawing app, right? I used to use it on my iPad all the time. I like to doodle and draw. It's got different tools. I'm a terrible artist, right? I just like to mess around with it, right? I look at that pencil and I'm like, oh man, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty fun to do, right? I don't want an iPad that big. I want the pencil on an iPad Air, which I can't do.
No, you can't. Well, you would assume that they would be able to, like we were talking about. You would assume they'd be able to eventually.
I think the headphone you pulled out had your microphone on it because your audio just went to crap.
How about now?
Ah, yes. We're professionals.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
I'm in a hotel room, so I was trying to figure out how bad I was yelling.
Not bad.
No, okay. Okay, anyway, what I was saying is you would assume that it's going to go eventually to the iPad Air. Eventually.
I would think next year.
We just talked about that, right.
You would think.
Just, and this just goes back to that conversation that nobody's going to be able to see because we're going to take it down. But in all practicality, man, I'm not in line with the Apple line. I mean, that was awkward to say it like that, but the Apple target audience I'm no longer that target audience because I need more practicality out. If I'm going to spend that much money, I just need more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want a laptop. You're like me though. I look at that and I go, "Oh man, that would be really cool." And then I say, "All right, for $1,200, I'm gonna go get a MacBook Pro."
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like I've had iPads. I've gotten rid of every iPad I've had because ultimately I talk myself into how much I'm going to use it, and then I sit there and I go, "Well, this." What's that?
You just don't use it that much.
Yeah, this is fine. This
Mm-hmm.
big old phone is what I need. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to get another iPad sooner than later because I'm going to talk myself into it again. And then I'm going to use it. And it serves as another monitor that sits on my desk that I run video off of while I do other things on my computer.
Mm-hmm. So don't get it.
I'm not going to get it, but I want the pencil. That's the one piece I want.
So
But then that's
stop.
why I go back.
Just go get a $500 Surface and get a pencil.
I know. It does work really nicely on the Surface. I do. That's the thing I love about the Surface. I love that functionality.
Right.
And I will say this too. All the people who say, "Oh, Steve Jobs never wanted a stylus. Oh, he said that yuck about styluses. You don't want one." He was talking about phones
Mm-hmm.
before anyone had ever used multi-touch. It's a way different environment. And the first thing they said when they introduced the pencil, your primary input is still your finger.
Right.
Also, Steve Jobs is dead and he doesn't run Apple anymore. It's a different company now. Get over it.
Wow, that was kind of ruthless, but okay.
Tired of the bullshit.
All right. So one thing that I am kind of disappointed on is just the camera on it.
Why
the camera seems a little underwhelming. I don't know. It just seems underwhelming.
Well, why do they even put a camera on the back of it? You're going to hold a cookie sheet to take a picture. Like,
right.
The front-facing camera, they should take the camera off the back and put it on the front.
Right. I don't understand why the front-facing camera on any phone or any device is significantly shittier than the back-facing camera.
Is it a space thing?
I don't know. It's universally thick. If they could put it in the back, you think they could put it in the front?
Well, I mean, if you look at this one here, how it protrudes, you wouldn't want that on the front, right? And you need ultimately you need depth to have a good camera. But I think also there's other stuff. I mean, this camera goes all the way through. Like the back of it is right at the front of your phone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have the space to do that over here where they put the front-facing cameras, right? I think there's other stuff behind it. I think it's my speculation. I don't know. You would think they would focus on it more because people use it a lot.
Right. Seriously. I don't know.
But I think HTC has had like, it's the selfie phone with a really good front-facing camera, and it's not going to sell devices. That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. People are going to use it because it's there, but it's not going to sell devices.
Right, that's true. So, yeah. iPad Pro.
I mean, I think the iPad Pro is maybe not the future of all their laptops, but it's definitely the future of their entry-level laptops.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree 100%.
So I think it's probably the most important thing they announced. I think it's definitely the most. I don't know if I think it's the most interesting thing or not, because the TV stuff, while much shorter list of things to talk about, that's the thing I'm ordering this week, right? You know. So yeah, Apple TV. They put apps on the thing finally.
I know, seriously.
Apps on the Apple TV. Other than that, Siri functionality throughout, I think pretty cool, pretty well done, assuming it works. The way they demoed
I think is really cool.
Yeah, the new remote has a touchpad on it. Has a dedicated Siri button. You can hold it down. You can do things like say, what did she say? And it'll rewind like 15 seconds back and throw subtitles on, you know. So if you have somebody, like the person I live with who can't seem to hear things ever in a show or talks over a show, you hold that button, flip it back, and you can get that. I think that's really cool. It has volume control right on it, so it can control. It has an IR blaster on it, so it can control volume on your TV, which is pretty cool. Support for third-party controllers. I think via Bluetooth. So I'm curious if you could just use like a PS4 controller on it.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, because that's a Bluetooth controller. But they had a gaming. I don't want to even say a gaming focus, but they definitely talked about games being on there, and you can turn the remote sideways if you're playing a game and use it as a controller. Probably a terrible controller. You can use your phone as a controller. I am pretty excited about apps on the Apple TV. I think it's. Okay. I use my Apple TV every day.
I don't because I have cable.
I have cable.
Oh.
I mean, it came free with our apartment, but I have cable.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean that's our main box that we do. We rent movies on, and we watch Netflix and Hulu and HBO on. That's the box we use for everything. So the app functionality I think could be really cool. You can do search throughout, so you can say I want to watch Breaking Bad, and it'll show you
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it'll show you all the services that it's available on. Right, so say, you can get it for $1.99 an episode in the iTunes store, or it's on Netflix, or it's on Hulu, or whatever. Which I think is pretty cool. I think it's pretty useful. There's definitely been times where I've checked every service for something, especially for movies. Before going to pay and rent it from Apple. So, to me, the Apple TV stuff is more exciting. But I think the iPad Pro is more interesting from a long-term standpoint.
You know what they should have done with Apple TV? Put an HDMI pass-through so you can hook it to your box.
What would you pass through, your cable?
Yeah.
I wonder
like how Xbox One does.
Yeah, I wonder if they can't do that.
Why? Think it's owned by Microsoft?
No, I wonder if it deals with the channels.
Maybe.
Yeah, I wonder if, because I think there's some significant cost associated for Microsoft to do that.
Oh, really?
I believe so. I could be wrong, but I think they had to. I don't know if it was to the cable companies, or I believe they had to pay some significant amount of money to be able to include that feature in there.
Oh, like Apple doesn't have that kind of money to be able to do that.
Well, Apple wouldn't take a loss on it, so they would be passing that cost on. And I also think the way they see it is they want these apps to be how you watch TV. You don't have, this. They're inching slowly closer. We're inching forward to that. Pay for the channels you want to watch. Type
like a la carte cable type thing.
Yeah. All right. I pay for ESPN. I pay for the History Channel and AMC. And I don't have to get a whole cable package to secure those three things. I can just pay for those three things. Ultimately, it'll probably be more expensive for a lot of people. I don't think people think about that, but I think we are inching closer to that reality. And I think that's the other reason Apple wouldn't put a pass-through on it.
All right. Well, now that we've covered that.
Yeah. 32 gigabyte for $149. 64 gigabyte, I believe, is $199. Flash storage.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want the 64 gigabyte. I think they had something came out today where they said apps can't be bigger than 200 meg.
Okay.
So 32 seems pretty sufficient to me. Unless you're really planning on playing a lot of games on your Apple TV. Clash of Clans. I
don't play like any games anyway on my iPhone, so.
Hearthstone, I think, is about the only game I play on my iPhone at this point.
Which you could not put on Apple TV.
You could AirPlay it over there.
Oh, okay, you can AirPlay it.
They could put it on Apple TV. Why couldn't they?
Because it's more than 250 megs or whatever.
Oh, yeah, they'd have to shrink it down. I don't know. I have a feeling that limit's going to go up pretty quickly. There used to be pretty small limits on iPhone apps too.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, the fourth piece, iPhone 6s and the
4. iPhone
6.
4.
Yes, the iPhone 4 is coming back. I liked the iPhone 4, man. That was a good phone.
It was a good phone.
The glass back caused a lot of issues for people.
Right.
But I don't break phones, so it was
You are.
hefty. It had nice weight to it. It was real heavy. It was a good phone. That was a good phone. Tiny now if you hold one, though. Feels like a little baby phone.
New color, pink.
Rose gold.
Seriously, rose gold. Why don't they just say pink?
Because they can't say this is the girl phone.
Right.
It's not. I actually think a lot of people are going to buy it because it's the new color. Because you can't buy. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my water on the floor there. You can't buy. You know, they knock everything down a notch, right? So the 5S is the free phone. The 6 and the 6 Plus are the mid tier. You can only get them in black and silver now. I'm sorry, space gray and silver. You can't get gold anymore. So they're saving the golds for the new ones only, which I think is funny. But rose gold, same pricing structure. I think the rose gold is ugly as well. It's not for me. A9 advertised that as 70% faster CPU, 90% faster GPU. I'm reading off a list. 3D touch. That's the big feature. Is 3D touch.
Didn't we just call this like the last one we talked about? I was like, I bet you Force Touch is going to come to the iPhone next phone.
Oh, I think everyone's called that. Yeah, it's kind of been the obvious feature. Force Touch, as it was once called, it's now 3D touch because Force Touch sounds way too rapey. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how that ever got through. Like, ooh, you Force Touch. That sounds pretty good. They call it.
It is thicker.
It is slightly thicker. It's like a 1/10 of a millimeter taller, 1/10 of a millimeter thicker, it's very slightly heavier. Apparently it uses some kind of new aluminium alloy. Aluminium. I actually don't think he said it. I don't think, because it was just a bullet point that Schiller talked about. I don't think aluminium was ever said in that presser, which is disappointing.
No.
But apparently that's not why it's heavier. It's probably something to do with the Taptic engine. So you get kind of I don't know if it gives you feedback in the same way the Apple Watch does, but you're going to get a lot more granularity in the feedback you get from your phone. It's not just a vibrate or not vibrate. It's much lighter and more subtle, I guess. I think this interface stuff looks really cool. I am thinking about getting the new phone.
What?
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a 12-month AT&T Next on this, so I can pay about $120 and upgrade. And basically then my pricing is the same. So I'm thinking about it. I think it's a pretty big step. The peek and pop stuff, you can kind of, I guess it would be like a half click. It's a right click, basically. Right.
Oh,
so you do like the half click on the app and it'll give you like a quick menu. So you do it on your phone and it'll give you a couple favorites that you can quickly call. And they did one demo where you could do it on your camera and you could like take a selfie or, jump right into a certain camera mode. I think that could be pretty cool. I think it's a level of interaction. I don't want to say it's more of a desktop level of interaction, but it almost feels more Android-like to me in a way.
Okay.
Where you can get just kind of some functionality on your home screen. The iPhone home screen is a portal to enter apps. That's all it is, right? And there you can swipe down and pull down like the Today widgets or your notification window, or go up and get some quick access to like flashlight and stuff like that. But by and large, it's just a launcher for apps. And you can kind of do that half touch. And like, I'd be curious, could a weather app give you just some weather data with that half click instead of menu functions. I don't know if it can do it or not. I assume it can't because the app probably has to be running. The APIs probably don't support that. But, maybe that's an iOS 10 feature. Is instead of widgets that people want, you can kind of half click on something and get sort of quick glance information from the app.
Right.
I don't know. I think usually the S models I'm lukewarm about. I don't care about, and I get Android fever on. This one, no, this one I'm really thinking about doing the upgrade on because I think the 3D touch could be a pretty big deal. I mean, they showed a game, and the game has no interest to me, but I think to demonstrate, you did like the half touch, and you would zoom in, and then you would full touch, and you would shoot. Yeah, I think it could be really interesting. It could be really, really cool.
Next, will they be able to detect multi 3D touch?
That's a good question. And the way they're measuring it, I think basically they can sense the pressure you're putting on the screen. So, I mean, I guess if you were doing it here and here, they would have to have zones, I'm assuming.
Right. Like, kind of like taking the phone and north, south, east, west type thing.
Yeah, but I'm sure they'd have to go much more granular than that. But because, I mean, I'm sure it could say, okay, here's 2 fingers at half and at full. But I don't think it could say, all right, finger 1 is half and finger 2 is full. Or, finger 2 is just resting on the screen and finger 1 is pressing. I don't think it can do that. I don't think.
No, probably not.
I would expect it couldn't. And I don't know why you would want to. I think you're getting too complex if you need to do something like that. But I don't know. Somewhere down the line, it'll be 4D touch.
Sure. Seriously. You know what's going to happen with these new phones, right?
I'm going to spend too much money on one?
No. You're, the first few people that have them, you'll start seeing the news and the tweet services that look how crappy the iPhone is. You can press it hard enough, it'll crack the screen. Like how people are bending their phones.
That video still makes me so mad every time I see it. Bonehead. Anyways, but I think the other thing, it's going to be 3 or 4 years before we really start to see the cool stuff with 3D touch, because you can't build a feature that relies on it solely, because then you're isolating everybody who doesn't have the brand new phone. Right. If I'm an app developer, I don't want to isolate that market.
Right.
So that's too bad. It would be cool if they could find a way to replicate something like that on these phones, but I understand why they wouldn't do that.
Right.
It's maybe a press and hold could be like the peak, and just a tap is the pop or something. But yeah, it looked really, apparently it's very fast, very snappy. New camera, obviously they always do the new camera on the S line.
Yeah.
Went from 8 megapixel to 12. They can shoot 4K video. Has live photos, which are basically GIFs, as far as I can tell.
That's basically how I interpret it.
Yeah. Not that interesting, but, they do have the clout where they can make people support it. I think they mentioned Facebook was one that was definitely going to support it. So that's something we'll probably see a lot of. Touch ID 2.0. Do you use Touch ID in your iPhone?
Yeah, it only works like half the time.
I have to wipe it off, like almost once or twice a day. I have to wipe it off, then it'll work great. So I'm wondering if that's going to work better. They say it's faster, but I wonder if it'll also recognize better.
I mean, God, it's already fast. How much faster do you want it to be?
They say it's almost instant, because there's definitely like a second where it has to think about it before you either see it shake and tell you it's not working, or recognize and pull you in. And they said on stage it's basically instant. So
That'd be nice.
That would be cool. Yeah, faster LTE and Wi-Fi chips. as usual. And then the last thing, which I thought was interesting, is they're doing their own upgrade program, an installment program.
Oh,
So just
I didn't
like
realize that.
AT&T Next or Verizon has a similar, all the carriers basically have a program where you pay. Basically, it's usually like $20 to $45 a month, depending on the model you want, and you can pick
Mm-hmm.
12-month, 18-month, 24-month upgrade cycle. Apple's going to let you do that through them now. So you have to have a credit card to secure it. If you walk away, they have to charge you for the whole phone, obviously. They do a credit check on you for it, but it includes Apple Care. Basically, it's a 24-month commitment, but after 12 payments, you can do an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Unlocked phone you can take to any carrier you want. Of it, you could use it internationally.
Seems kind of cool.
It's comparable pricing. It's
Mm-hmm.
within a couple bucks of all the other carriers and what they're doing. So I think very interesting. I can't imagine carriers are real thrilled about that, but
No, God, no, probably not.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I shouldn't say cool. I thought that was an interesting announcement from them to kind of make that
Yeah,
money, get people to buy iPhones from them. They're
I'm
throwing
kind
Apple
of
Care on there. So.
surprised. I'm kind of surprised, like major companies like that haven't done it yet, like Samsung or HTC or someone like that. It just makes sense to buy from the supplier, cut out the middleman.
Samsung was running a promotion where if you had an iPhone, you could go on your browser on your iPhone, and for like $1, they would give you one of the new Samsung phones for a month, where you could get a Note 4 or Galaxy S6 and try it for a month. Every
What
time
happens if you kept it?
they charge you. I'm sure you have to guarantee it with a credit card. Or you could tell them like, hey, I'll just buy it from you and use it because I love the phone. I tried to do that, but every time I tried to sign up, they were out of phones. So,
They're not doing that anymore, are they?
I don't know if it's still available or not. I would imagine it probably still is. It was only a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it makes sense for Apple to try to get the money themselves, right? If people are going to do it, and they were pretty upfront that you can upgrade, you can get every phone if you do this. So
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if those people who are doing it will get any kind of priority on the new phone going forward. Hey, if you're part of the Apple upgrade program, 6 hours before everyone else can pre-order a phone, you can pre-order. Probably not if you're already locked in on a 2-year, but it would be an interesting incentive.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I would probably do it.
Yeah, I would.
But,
I'm pretty locked in AT&T Next right now, but it's something I would consider. And what would be really interesting is if Apple did this with other products as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it makes sense with other products, but if you're like a professional, and if you're a video guy, you could get a new iMac every 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they have the same kind of value as a year-old. I guess what kind of value does a year-old iPhone have, though?
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I feel like it's been diluted a little bit.
I don't know. I haven't looked at the secondary iPhone market lately, but
No,
I don't feel like
they
don't go nearly as high as they used to. But
no, because everybody has Next or something like that now.
But so yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts you have about this event? It was definitely interesting. I would say it's kind of a peek, at least with the iPad Pro and the Apple TV, a peek into the future.
Any other thing to add? No. To be honest with you, it was kind of everything that I expected. Although I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting an Apple TV, but I don't really follow that. I kind of knew just because I've been reading so much on the Microsoft circuit that the iPad Pro was going to be coming out. Everybody kind of expected that. Obviously, the 6S, so
yeah. I don't think there were any real surprises except the upgrade program.
No.
That was the only thing I hadn't heard rumored before.
Hmm.
Any of that you're going to buy?
No.
You're not going to get a watch. You're not going to
Nope.
get an iPad Pro if you're buying a Surface.
Right.
Apple TV, no?
Nope. I don't watch that much TV, man. I have my TV for sports. That's it.
Okay. Watch ESPN app is on the Apple TV.
Yeah, but you need an ESPN subscription to use it.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Get a friends.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's it. So, go out and buy a $1,200 tablet with a bunch
Hmm.
of accessories that turn it into a laptop instead of just buying a laptop.
Hmm.
Make Tim Cook happy.
Woo!
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Alex. Bye.